Hello my dear friends, this is a PaintyKat. My name is Catherine. Today we're gonna paint a still life, and it's a really simple composition, but composition only because some techniques, some colors, some moments we're gonna talk about today are not that easy, so please be prepared for really detailed painting. And I think this is the most tricky thing here, because if you will take a look on a compositions like this when they are ready, when they are done, it seems like it's not possible to repeat the same or to do something really close to it. Today I want to share to you, I want to demonstrate step by step how we building up this detailization, and we're gonna use a sponge today. Also today I'm gonna mention a lot the previous tutorial about oranges, because here we're also gonna use same sponges, round sponges, for the composition planning. This is a small canvas, kind of small one. Again, it's about oranges, it's the same that we used for oranges, 18-24 centimeters, and even on this size it's possible to paint detailed composition. So for first we're gonna plan what we actually and where we gonna paint these apples. You already saw those painting, those scenery we have today. It's just 3 apples. Actually they are 5 in this tiny wooden box, but only 3 of them we can see clearly, so they are placed on a foreground. With a sponge from the start, we just planning colors. Imagine like we have to reserve this space, these areas, these circles for future fruits. As soon as we placing this acrylic on a white canvas, colors gonna look really shiny. In a previous tutorial I demonstrate to you how possible to paint fruits on kind of dark, not really dark, on a medium tone background. We used there lots of a brown, and here we have a very dark background. If you're planning to use black, very dark brown behind these fruits, and actually it's giving a nice contrast, so I like it, but it's not possible to blend those dark colors first and paint on top. Why? Because acrylic, it's still kind of transparent paints. Basically all paints are transparent, more or less. So when we planning these fruits on a white canvas, means all these bright yellow, orange, red colors will look shine because they have a white behind it. So we have 3 of them, but not here. It's not that important how you applying orange and red spots, because anyway we gonna detail it better in the future. Second, we gonna plan a wooden box. I will do it with a shaped brush. This is a flat brush number 40, so it's 4 centimeters wide, and we gonna use it. I think it's just quite simple to create the shape with it, because all we have to do is just to paint a wide stripe, wide, thick, horizontal stripe. By the way, if you want to make this planning process more easy, you can use a traceable from the start. All you have to do is to transfer sketch lines and paint shape for the wooden box with the brown, and shapes for the fruits, for the apples, with a light yellow or orange. Again, it's not that important for this tutorial how spots, orange and yellow spots placed for apples. For oranges, it's more important, and for oranges, I demonstrate to you how to control better watercolors and where you're gonna have, because there we even created some of the volume with a sponge. I like to apply color on a sponge with a brush, as I demonstrated with oranges, also because it's possible to use less of acrylic. When you're taking acrylic from the palette with a sponge directly, usually sponge taking a lot of the paint. So as you can see, it's just a stripe, so I spread a color. I also want to demonstrate to you, for those of you who are following the whole tutorial with the planning as well, how we can create not just a flat shape. Let's imagine if it's a basket with very, very soft ellipse on a base. So we have to remove a little bit of acrylic here. So for first it's a flat stripe, but we lifting these angles on a left and on a right, and this way the bottom edge will have an oval shape, very, very soft, smooth oval shape. Okay, also want to demonstrate to you what to do if at some point you decided to fix shapes. That's okay. If you want to make it bigger, it's actually very, very easy, very simple. But what to do if you want to make it smaller? This way you have to lift up those parts you want to like delete, remove. For example, for this basket, we can make it smaller by just adding water, and I like to remove with a wipe. It's a napkin, wet napkin. I don't like paper napkins for it because it's given like a tiny paper dots. So this type of the vibes, I like it more if I have to remove something, if I have to change the shape. Well, and I removed from another side as well, as soon as we removed from the right first. And right now this basket placed in a center, in the middle of the canvas. Not exactly, but don't need to use a ruler to check if distances till the edges absolutely the same. It's a kind of close. Next we have to do the same with the green leaves. Green leaves here also very light. With oranges, on a previous tutorial we created a lot of leaves that was looking darker than a background behind it, so it's really more easy. Here with the light leaves we have to do the same with apples. We have to reserve area for them. No need to paint very detailed leaves. We have to plan the main spots. This tutorial have like a prototype painting with a request I've got from my subscribers, and we had a little talk about what details we following and what we can skip, and I also added reference, photo reference paintings. You can check that leaves that have lots of spots, maybe some little holes. They are looking very, very detailed. Important notice, bigger canvas you're taking, more details you can add. Also, any details you're planning for future, making your painting process longer. So if you want to paint these apples in like 2 hours and maybe 3 hours, you have to understand, you have to choose what details the most important here. I think it's some dots, it's some stripes on apples. I think it's interesting shapes of the leaves. I also think it's a very interesting looking background part, but for example, spots on the leaves, it's possible to skip, and this way your painting will take less time. It's kind of important to plan not only spots on a canvas when you want to paint something, but also to plan what time you're ready to spend, because longer you paint, more tired you're gonna feel yourself. And if painting taking, for me, it's like longer than 2 hours, I'm feeling extremely tired, and it's mean I can't complete it in a one go, in a one set. I have to split my painting process for 2 days, for example, for 3 days. But sometimes it's kind of tricky to get back into the process, to catch the same mood again, and also remember what we're doing right now. We also warming up our wrist, our eyes, our expression, because we're taking time also for checking references, all those shapes, details, we're trying to keep them in mind, in imagination. It's helping to catch the mood, and if you're able to keep it for like 2 hours, 3 hours, it's not possible to keep it for days. So if you wanna learn how to paint detailed apples, I think size of a canvas have to be kind of small, and we have to skip some, to miss some of details. Leaves here not that important, I believe. The most important is still apple, and this color combination, this contrast between them, and very very dark background. It's giving like effect of the shine, like something close to the flame, candle flame. It's have the same principle, yellow and orange shine of the flame, and very dark area around this thing giving us a shining effect. Well, I think this leaves is enough. Some of them on top they are light, on bottom part they are dark, and about the light direction here for this painting, it's going from the top, not from the left or right. No, it's just a straight light from the top. It's important for shadows, for cast shadows also, but we will paint them later. Now let's paint the table, and we will see here a little part of the vertical surface, and I mixed brown and green for it. About a green color for this tutorial, for this painting, possible to choose sap green as well. I'm using a hooker's green, I like it, some of our last month, I think, but sap green for this painting will also fit well. Okay, let's add a little more volume for the basket, and I think we're done. We're done with the composition planning. Let's go for the second part, and here we have to think about a background. Foreground here are already planned. We let's say we reserved those areas where we gonna have paint apples, leaves, and a basket, and a background here just lovely. I think it's a really nice idea to include like a little piece of a landscape in a still life. It's giving so much life in a composition. So color here for first, it's blue, which is a cobalt blue plus white, and plus a tiny little bit of those brownish green we used for the table. It's giving a nice color connection between a background and a foreground, because blue we're not gonna use for a foreground area for apples and for basket. So that's why it's so important to mix a little bit of a brown of umber burnt with blue there. Personally, I think blue and a brown, it's a really classical and a beautiful color combination. My brush, it's a brush number 10, possible to paint with a little bit smaller brush. This is a flat and slanted type, but also possible to paint with filbert brushes, flat brushes with oval shape. It depends on what types of the brushes you like to use more. We all have our own personal taste. Here we need kind of short brush strokes and we blending colors same time, so that's why I like here and I can recommend to use here flat brushes. Next color, third color here, it's a yellow. I mixed yellow medium plus brown and plus white, and it's giving effect like a very early sunset when we have no orange, no yellow in the sky yet, but clouds already have some nice warm touch. And we have to spread this color really close to the leaves and apples, because for the future this color, this light color, gonna have a very nice contrast with a tiny tweak that we have. Right now we skip this detail cause it's a kind of small. No need to, we're gonna paint it on top, and it's a dark detail, so of course smarter to paint background behind it first and to create it on top. Let's add a little bit of a very lightweight clouds. By the way, about spots and blending, how well we have to blend colors here now. Actually, no need to blend perfectly, because anyway we gonna give a second layer, maybe a third layer, because we gonna add more and more details, and no need to paint everything really well from the start. We gonna go from the general to specific. Right now we have to give a main color, some main shapes, and next time, like next round, we're gonna go with the medium details, and at the very end we will add those tiny details that giving a really nice final look. So here, what is important? It's a color. It's important to cover canvas pretty well, to fill most of the empty area, and to fill those tiny dots. We talked about it before, but for those of you who are not followed my previous tutorials, we have a top surface, right, like a top part of the surface, and some depth inside, like a structure of the canvas. And if you're spreading acrylic just on top, you will see like a tiny white dots. It's a pores of the canvas and if you're spreading just a tiny amount of acrylic, you're not gonna feel the pores. And later it can ruin some effects, especially for the dark details. For example, here, let's move forward and I'll demonstrate to you what I'm talking about. This is a black color. We have to add black now on palette. Be careful with this color because it can desaturate any of other colors you're using in your compositions. But here, for this painting, it's gonna fit really well because it's giving a highest possible contrast. We're spreading on the top left, we're spreading just an empty black, empty lamp black, and let's go around all the leaves. Try not to feel a lot of green. Also, we can go around kinda accurate, like this, and you will see shape of a green leaf more and more visible. And let's spread black on top. Now I'm using nice amount of a black. I also using a tiny bit of water because this way acrylic spreading more easy. Let's go accurate here as well. And now everything looking fine, but with the time you will see that this black gonna have some stripes, gonna have some white dots, those pores not filled with a black color. When acrylic is fresh, it's like sparkling a little bit, it's not looking matte, and at this point it's not possible to understand, to check all areas if it's painted nicely, smooth, or it have some missing areas. So of course later we will give a second layer and maybe if it's need to even a third layer on most of the areas. That's why no need to see it for a long time with the clouds. Anyway, we're gonna detail it better, but we will do it only after apples, at least some medium details on apples, because even if clouds are beautiful, even if it's a sunset, it's still background, and if you will detail it really well, you will create a beautiful sunset. It will take a lot of attention from your viewer and probably will draw all attention from the apples. So we have to be very accurate with it. We have to balance detailing well. Let's go with the color of the table. It's a gray, kind of simple color, white plus black. It's looking natural, I like it here. Let's go accurate around the basket and leaves. And let's spread color. Everything about a nice amount of acrylic, about those moments we have to use lots of paint right now to fill all those pores, or at least try to fill all of them. It's all important for the table as well. And the very foreground part of the table have to be light. Next, we're mixing a little bit of a more black in it and spreading. Next, we're going up. Okay, a little bit darker color, and let me correct a little corner here. Nice. Let's mix more black and go up again. We're gonna meet those very dark intense black, even more black, yeah, like this, and we're going all the way up till we're meeting the black part of the background. That's how we can create smooth looking gradient behind the leaves. It's more easy to create well-blended gradients if you're painting the whole background first, as we did on a previous landscape, where we blended colors with no fruits, with nothing on a canvas from the start. So it's possible to use white brushes mixing and spreading colors nicely and fast. But here, as soon as we have to keep shapes of the green leaves, light green leaves, apples, we just can't use white brushes, big brushes, and that's how we can create those gradients behind. We mixing a little more black and a little more black, and this way we building up this gradient and just spreading colors in the end. That's it. And let's check. Here you can already see all those imperfect parts, some white dots, some stripes, what to do with them. Easy areas possible to fix right now, especially if they are highly visible on a black part of a background, for example. Possible to add a bit of water in the black and just spread, just cover those spots and white dots. This way, black looking really velvety, really smooth, and that's how we can fill any of those white pores. The same subject we were talking while we were painting deers in autumn forest. I demonstrate to you the same. It's a glazing. In general, it's a glazing technique, means we use lots of water with acrylic. It's like a watercolor consistency, and we can fill all those white dots that looking so imperfect, I think. But of course we have to wait again. We have to wait and check again if background looking nice, smooth, have no those stripes and pores anymore. About black for foreground, it's very important again to connect colors from the background with the foreground. Same we did for the sky area, right? We used there some of the brown, but here also we have to add very, very deep shadows for apples. From the start, it's looking really extremely, I think, because apples in our memory, it's really light fruits, like light yellow, for example. So let's mix a light yellow from the start for the first apple here. But objects, they are never alone. I mean, they are really depends on a background. So if behind we have that dark colors, of course we gonna have some of them on foreground as well. Other way, foreground will look as just a sticker that you cut out from another picture and put on top of the dark canvas. Of course, they are depends on each other. Let's start to create some volume. Now we have a very visible difference between shadows, those dark shadows, black shadows on apples and lights there. But actually we have no volume. Apples looking flat. Let's add some of a fresh green. I added a tiny bit of hooker's green into the mix of lemon yellow and white. I think it's a really, really pretty color. And let's add just a couple of spots. And by the way, all these three apples gonna look different here. Also, right now, when you're adding a volume, when you're working on apples, it's a time to give a better shape for fruits. Of course, we already have some reserved area, but the actual shape, you can change it a little bit. So you can go with this light yellow on top of the black. That's okay. I mean, if it's just a tiniest area on the edge, it's not that visible. It's just another situation compared to those where when you painting light fruits on top of the black as a whole, because this way, when it's just a little bit of the layering on top of the black, apple in general will still have this very pretty shine. Let's add intense red as well, and I like to add some stripes. It's a different, we have some different kinds of apples. Some of them are green only with some dots, some of them are yellow, even almost an orange. I like those, by the way. They are really sweet. Some of them have pretty red stripes. How to create them? Well, we can apply a bit of the red color. By the way, I like to mix it with a little bit of yellow, or you can use vermilion, which is a warm tone red already. I'm using here just a natural color calling red, simple red, so to give a nice warm touch, it's nice to mix it with a tiny bit of a yellow color. And as soon as you apply it on the bottom, you have to spread it with just a single brush stroke. So this way you will create like stripes on top of the yellow area. You have to spread red on top of the yellow. Don't do a lot of brush strokes on just a one spot, because this way you will mix red to yellow completely, and instead of stripes, red stripes, you will have just an orange there. Actually nothing wrong with it, it's only a matter if you want to create those stripes, if you're really trying to paint those kinds of apples with the stripes. Okay, let's go to the next apple, because first already have some volume. Next apple gonna look darker, and here is important how apples turned to the viewer. For example, if apple turned to us with a red side, apple itself gonna look darker, because a red color darker than yellow or orange. So when you want to create volume in a simple way for apple, it's easier to put yellow or light orange on a light spot, as we did on a previous apple. We have light from the top, so we have a yellow on top and a red color on the bottom. Here for this apple I want to demonstrate you another way. Of course it's possible to do the same, yellow on top, orange in the middle and red on the bottom, but let's also create an apple that have red everywhere. So how to do it? It's a really tricky thing, because if you will mix red with white only, you will have a pink, but apples naturally don't have a pink color. So that's why when we want to create a spotlight light on an apple, we have to mix plus yellow. So in general it's an orange color on a light side here on this apple. About shadow, we already have here intense black, which is nice, and let's just spread a little bit of a brown on top of it. Black on a previous layer will give a nice depth anyway to this shadow. So let's create this light spot on apple right here. Nice, kind of light, and look, it's mixing with red, and it's changing to the orange. I'm not gonna blend too well. I like when apples have a little bit of spots, when color spreaded, not too smooth, because this way fruits looking more natural. In university, in our classes, painting classes, we had not only real apples as a part of a still lifes, but also plastic fruits, because you know sometimes class can work on a still lifes for the month, for example. Of course, it's not possible to keep fruits fresh, and that's why that's okay for bowls, for cups, for teapots, and drapes for fabric, but fruits, of course, not possible to keep them the same. So that's why most of the time we were painting plastic ones. And this is a really tricky, because plastic fruits, they, when you looking at them straight directly, they are really smooth. They have a very smooth gradient, and we had to imagine some imperfect details. And of course, we've been working with some of the photos. Photos are really important when you're painting, because not all the time we can have a nice nature. And the third apple here is quite interesting also, because this one gonna have no red at all. It's gonna turn to the orange in the shadow. And what is a tricky thing about it, when orange going to the shadow, it's turned to the brown. In general, that's okay, but with the fruits, brown fruits in our imagination, especially a brown on apples, it's fixed to the rotten kind of apples. If we can see a brown spots on apple, or big part of the apple colored as a brown, that's mean apple not fresh, isn't it? On a painting, it's working on a similar way, so that's why it's sometimes it's tricky to paint yellow or orange fruits with no red on it. For example, lemons, if you will pay attention on them, look at this brown color. It's already giving like unfresh feeling, especially when this yellow apple placed next to the apple with a red side. So imagine a lemons. It's like the most typical example. On a light, that's fine, no any issues with them, but when yellow turning to the shadow, it's gonna transfer to some of the dark. We don't have a dark yellow color. It's need to be greener or more brown, really something similar to this apple we painting right now. Of course, apple more orange. I like to give a feeling to it like it's really mature. I mean, it's not a green, it's really ready to eat. So I think orange color is pretty for it. Also, here we already can paint a spot on the bottom of the apple and some yellow on top. So about the lemons, it's very popular to put a lemon on top of the blue fabric or dark blue fabric like a navy. Why it's so popular? Some of the paintings have just a single lemon on a blue, because this way a lemon have intense reflection from the blue and shadow turning to a very pleasant green, cause a reflection, right? We have a blue plus yellow, which is a natural color of a lemon, and down we have a pretty green shadows, and this is looking not rotten, it's looking fresher, even fresher than just a yellow lemon itself. And rarely you can find brown accents on the bottom parts of the lemon, because this way it's not that easy to give a nice and a juicy effect to this fruit. But here we will paint this brown on a bottom part in the shadows on the third apples. And if you have a brown on the bottom part, and here we have basket, trust me, brown in the shadows for the yellow fruits can look pretty as well. So it's all about what you have around of your fruits in a still life. A little bit of a green on the side of the second apple here. I like this green. I think it's giving some fresh touch to the apple. And let's check how it's looking in general. It's really important. Time by time we have to step back and check how composition going, how it's looking all together, because we're gonna take part by part and give some let's say medium details. They are gonna be not really tiny, because we're gonna leave it for the end of the painting process. And same time, we're just not able to paint everywhere in a single time. We're gonna go in a circle like a background, apples, leaves. And again, we're gonna move on the next circle and touch all parts again. Give them a kind of similar level of detailization. And that's why important not to complete a single part till the end, paint it very detailed till the end from the start, with no areas around at all. And that's why it's not good to paint portraits, for example, from the eye. First of all, you're gonna have plant volumes. Next, you're gonna give some main shadows. It's what we did right now. You need to give it everywhere in all important parts, and only after you're ready to move on the next step. Next step here, it's dots and spots. I really like this effect. I like this technique. It's really easy. We're gonna spread it with a fun brush. But important thing is, if you will try to spread it everywhere, you will have spots on a basket, on a background behind, like on a sky, and we don't need it. We can have some spots on the leaves, so those one you don't need to cover completely, and leave apples with no napkins on top. I'm using toilet paper. It's just taking water and color really easy. Some spots, bigger spots, we can add with brushes with no issues, but if you will paint the tiny ones one by one, first of all, you're gonna spend lots of time. And second, tiny brushes like number 1 or 0 usually have a sharp start because of the shape of the brush, pointy tip, and at this point, this dot's gonna look not round. So, foam brush, I just love this way. Really easy, really fast. Okay, we're done with this step, and now as soon as dots added, actually apples already looking pretty, isn't it? Those tiny dots, it's a magical trick, I like it. So let's leave it like this. We have to wait till dots will dry completely, and the next step we will add some extra volume with highlighting and glazing if we need to. But now you can actually check them together, those leaves and the apples. Apples already looking more natural, more real. Look, we added lots of details for them, right? Some nice colors, some stripes, dots, all of this. And now leaves, we're losing them actually. Now leaves looking so, it's like a green spots. So of course we have to give them some attention. Let's paint it. I recommend flat brush. My brush is number 2, possible to paint with a brush number 4. Well, but you have to control it well better because of the size. Leaves here are not big. I like flat brushes because of the stripes it gives, but be sure you're not mixing colors too well on your palette. I mean, no need to mix for a long time till you will get some middle shade. For example, if you're taking green, yellow and brown, don't mix it with a minute or so with lots of the circles, right? Mix it with just a couple of moves, 2 or 3. This way you're gonna have a lots of the colors at once, and when you will apply these colors from your brush will give those stripes naturally. It's actually kind of close to the Fremov style, to those paintings where we imitating palette knife work, and but there we have a bigger brush strokes, of course. Here it's the same, and by the way, I don't like over mixing in general. I think it's giving really flat shades, not interesting shades. Next, let's move to next leaf. Also important thing is we can sometimes, some of leaves can look warmer and some of leaves can look colder. Cold tone and a warm tone, how to understand what is it. If you're mixing green plus yellow, it's a warm green. For example, May green, it's a kind of the warm green, even almost a lemon color we can count as a warm green. Of course, it has to be a little bit greener. And an opposite way, green plus blue, it's a cold green. It's turning more to the like emerald shade, but here for this painting it's plus white because we need a light shade. For example, here apple leaves have 2 sides. It's a top one and a bottom one. Bottom side of the apple leaf usually lighter and a top side is darker greener, and it's sometimes it's turning to the yellow. So it depends what side of the leaf turn to you. For example, for this leaf we have the bottom part of the apple leaf turned to the light, so of course here on top it's cold looking green mostly, and of course a little bit of a reflection we gonna have on the edge of the leaf here on the bottom part. Top, bottom, I'm gonna talk a lot about it. Yeah, about leaf from where we started, right? Those tiny one on top. It's lots of yellow and even a brown there. It's just because it's a top part of the apple leaf and it's turned to the light, so that's why it's a warm green mostly. And by the way, I really like some unusual color choose for the leaves, for actually for any of natural objects, because it's not a plastic fruits, again, not those we've been painting at university. Those apples always had perfect green leaves. In real life, of course, they are so different. And by the way, if you at some moment, if you got a pretty looking apple with a leaf on it, with a leaf on top, sometimes I have it from the store, you can take a photo, you can check how it's looking on a photo as well, because we differently taking the real one and the picture of it. I think from the picture it's easier to understand some details, and you can check how different those leaves can look. Okay, next leaf, it's like a diagonal. I like this leaf, and it's turned with the bottom part again, so it's lots of cold, but also some touch of a yellow, so it's some spots. But mostly I'm trying to keep it as a cold looking and very, very light. If you don't have a real apples with the leaves, it's possible to check photos in the internet, because when you're painting you have to know more about those objects you wanna create as a part of the composition. Next leaf, it's also kinda light. I wanna paint it with a bit of a darker green color. And also we have to divide a leaf from the leaf. It's a leaf, let's count first one on top and this one like a fifth one, right? We started with a number 1 on top, second, third, fourth, yeah, it's a fifth one. And let's divide it from the previous with a nice shadow. Yeah. From here, it's a very saturated green, and spread it. Yeah, it's giving a nice depth between them. Let's switch to the smaller brush to control shape better. As soon as you're feeling like a brush number 2, brush number 4 is way too big and you touching those details you don't want to touch, you changing those that you like already, it's a time to switch for the smaller brush. In general, there is no rules about size or shape of brushes. It's only a matter how useful they are for you. First of all, it's tools, and all you have to do with your practice is to understand what brushes giving you more options, what brushes giving you control you need, and it's at this point it's mean you choosing the right brush. As soon as you feel like they touching something that you don't want to correct anymore, it's mean brush controlling area not that well, it's taking more bigger area than you need, so it's a time to switch for the smaller. If you're sitting for too long, if you have to cover big areas and you feel you're getting tired doing all the same, means you're painting with a small brush, and probably it's time to switch to the bigger brush. And also what I noticed from the start, we're usually using a big tools, big brushes, big sponges, because we're just planning, volumes are more important, details are less important from the start. And when you're going closer and closer to the final result, you want to detail better, and of course you're starting to switch to smaller and smaller tools, no matter what it is, no matter if it's a palette knives, if it's a sponges, brushes. In the end, we usually need a lot of different small brushes, line brushes, pointy brushes. I have some flat brushes that is tiny, for example filbert brush, I have a number 0 even, and sometimes it's nice as well. Okay, also we have here very dark green leaves, and it's looking as a silhouette even. Mostly we don't need to detail them, we don't need to add light for it, but all together with the leaves, with the volumes on it, with the highlights on it, it's giving a nice, like a random view. This leaves, those leaves, warm tone, cold tone, different edges and shapes, dark leaves giving a nice accent. Also, you can see here the principle that light leaves on top have a nice contrast with the background, isn't it? Background on top, it's very dark, so of course light green leaves looking so shiny and catchy here. But on the bottom side of a composition where we have a light looking table already, there for the contrast we have to go an opposite way. So that's why some leaves there turning to the dark colors, and again it's a matter of a contrast. It's giving just a nice and a catchy contrast between a shape and background. Same way here, it's a basket, it's also looking contrasted. Very dark brown, like a chocolate brown, and a nice natural gray around. Okay, let's create another leaf just on top of the basket. It's quite simple, really easy to do. All we have to do is start with the pointy end of the green leaf. And for this start, for this tip, we're starting with a light green and we're continuing with a very dark green. For the dark green, I can recommend mix hawker's green and lamp black. I'm just blending colors between light and it can be kind of pointy, you know, and just blend. No need to blend really well, really smooth, because we're still working on a medium size details. No veins, no need to. Apples also don't have all details yet. We will give some more. And a next leaf. And here we have to pay more attention on the sky already, because we're gonna paint the twig. It's a broken twig, very nice and also catchy detail for the composition. It's just a brown color from the start, no need to think about a value, only shape important right now. Let's switch to the smaller brush. I will mix red, yellow and some of the umber burn and some of the white. Yeah, I think that's okay for the connection line between this green leaf and a broken twig. And let's create the next one. It's gonna go somewhere here. And another one. And look what we have here. Actually, sky around it, not light enough. Right now it's visible already. Before it wasn't visible because we had no twig yet, not those broken part of the branch. And right now I think it will be a nice idea to put more light yellow around this broken twig, because you know It's really interesting detail. It's curved gently, and this leaf on top, it's also curved so pretty. Let's complete the bottom part here. And even a bottom part of this leaf, it's already have not enough contrast between the green part and the sky behind it. See? Of course, we can paint it with a darker looking green, but I think it's not the right way. I think we have to give some lighter colors around. Also, let's paint the fifth apple. Fourth one we already have on the left corner of this apple group. And this is a fifth one. Why it is green? Because if we will put one more yellow here, it's gonna ruin this silhouette of 3 apples on a foreground. So we have 2 ways actually. We can paint it very, very dark, which is not the right way as well, I think, because this apple will have a light on top anyway. And what we actually have, red maybe, but again, red not looking good on a light. It's gonna turn to the orange. So only green? Well, green apple it can be, why not? And let's add light around. It's just a white plus yellow medium, and we're spreading it gently. It's not a very watery consistency. I even can say it's a bit of dry already. And I'm spreading on top of the canvas. If you feel like color spreading not smooth enough, you can blend it with a dry brush on top. Just take a dry brush and try to spread your brush stroke. Let's go accurate around this apple, and we even can give a better shape to it. Let's paint some clouds maybe. Again, it's important thing to control a watery amount of the water in your mix. Don't add a lot of water. Let paint be almost dry. This way you will see. I mean, yes, you will not be able to fill the whole area, like the corner, the top corner here with a yellow color. It's not possible to spread half dry consistency on big areas. But same time, it's giving a very soft touch. For clouds, it's a perfect thing. If you need more intense yellow, don't try to build up it in a one go, in one layer. You have to spread a little bit first, because this dry consistency will don't have a nice coverage anyway. You have to wait a bit till it will dry, and it's drying so fast on a canvas, and already after like 30 seconds you can layer again and again, and this way you will be able to get any color you like, any color. Even on top of the very dark you can add this soft looking light spots, and that's why it's so good for the clouds. And as soon as we have here a nice yellow or fluffy looking area, it's a clouds, we are ready to paint all tiny stems that we have connected to this piece of broken branch. This stem connecting this piece of wood to the other end are the green leaves. First, of course, we have to think about shape, because we can see it kind of contrasted, right? Because of a very light background behind and around. And a second thing here, it's volume, because wood, of course, need to have a volume as well. It's a kind of simple here, because it's turned, this piece of branch turned a little bit to the right, and it's mean the right side of the branch gonna stay in a shadow more, and this stems on the right side will also stay in a shadow. I have a brush number 1 now, so I'm trying to be very accurate. I have to, because this detail already, it's even not a medium size of details, it's already kind of small one. Okay, let's mix more yellow and paint, I think it's a little bit too dark, and paint some light on a branch on the left side. Yeah, this is a nice tone. It's not possible to understand color correctly when you're just mixing it, because you're mixing on a different spots, you have a different colors around it on a palette. Also my palette, it's a white porcelain, which is nice, of course, because I can understand the clear color, but when you're applying, when you're placing color on your canvas, first of all, it already have some colors that was applied previously. And the second thing is colors gonna have a different shades around. Of course, they are affecting each other. Especially it's important for the tone, because on palette color can look light enough, for example, but when you're applying it, you can find out that it's even darker than those area when you need to add this color. And if you're looking lighter, of course, you need to mix more white or maybe more yellow to change it somehow. So I have to try it each time. My mix is kind of close because I have a lot of experience already, and more you will paint, better you will mix. From the start, mixing looking really difficult. Sometimes we trying to analyze shades, we trying to understand those basic colors shade have from the start, but again, not all the time it's successful. And important to remember, painting a skill, first of all, it's a skill that can be developed through the practice, and it's can be or developed through nothing, through or just sitting watching video without any work. Next here it's one more leaf. It's a pretty one, I think. I like it. Not all leaves I'm not feeling the same to each area to the painting, that's true. Sometimes some objects or, little pieces I like, some of them not really. This leaf is really pretty. First of all, it have a nice background behind it, very pretty light yellow, and this green is just shiny. It's placed on a light yellow, and it's just looking so nice and fresh, Yeah, very, very good one. My brush, it's a flat brush again, and how this leaf looking, it's really depends on the brush, on the type of the brush. Brand is not that important at all. I mean, brush need to be in a good condition, and the quality need to be good enough. It's really tricky to paint if your brush losing some hair, some bristle. It's really tricky to paint with it if it's too fluffy, but you have to blend colors, for example. I mean, it's a question of condition, of course. But in general, this type of the brushes, I just like it. We all have a different taste, that's true. And my favorite, it's a flat brushes. I use it a lot. Next one, this leaf is very interesting because half of it placed on a light background and half of it placed on a dark background, right? So it's a green that's gonna be lighter from one side and a darker from another side. Really interesting element. And we even gonna make this difference deeper and more visible. It's a dark green leaves, similar that we already have on the left side. But on the left side we have just one, right? Let's put some on the right here. This one. Let's complete it. It's lots of a black plus a bit of a green. It's not just a black color. I don't like clear black color. It's just looking colorless. And this is a second dark leaf. I'm painting slow now because I wanna cover canvas well. Your brush strokes depends from the speed of the painting as well. Not many people can remember about it. If you're painting very fast, like your acrylic will be spread just on a very top surface of a canvas, and you will not feel those pores. If you're painting slow and pressing on your brush, of course, those pores will be filled better, right? Because acrylic will just go inside. Sometimes we need to paint fast, especially for a lightweight details, especially when we have to correct something really light. Just a tiny touch, you know, maybe a very small accent. Yeah, we can go with a very fast move. But when we painting some solid details, like this basket, for example, we have to paint slower. We have to spread acrylic better to fill all those pores, all those structure of a canvas. Okay, let's go to the basket. It's not changed yet, it's just looking the same as it was done from the start. But we need to give at least a little bit of the volume. Now it's just a flat shape. It's so easy, you know. Black color, let's spread it from the left and blend to the center. And the same from the right. Let's put black color here and spread to the center. Very easy, and black color blending here also nicely because brown itself it's already dark. It's so hard sometimes to create a smooth deep shadow because we have a big gap between a dark color and light object. It was what we had with apples, right? Apples very light and black shadow on it looking so contrasted and rough, not blendable in a one go. For basket, it's very easy. Brown, it's dark already. Next we gonna have here a nice detail. It's like a piece of wood, a layering on top of the previous layer. and fixed with some nails. First, I use just a block to create the shape of this layer, and let's give some highlight. It's a light brown, so it's umber brown plus orange, which is yellow and red, plus a bit of white. Be careful with white because yellow is a light color already, so it's lighting umber burnt. Let's dry brush. I know right now it's really creamy, and you can feel this mix are kind of creamy. It's have some gloss on palette. It's how possible to understand it's have a water. I'm trying to get some air on my brush to dry this layer of acrylic on it, and when it's already dried a little bit, I'm just spreading some of the brush strokes very light on a basket. This is a place for future nails. Nails, nice to paint it on a dark, it's a first, and second, wood. This kind of wood for baskets, it's not heavy, it's not hard, so when nails fixing it, it's pressed inside, and we're gonna have some shadows there. I'm not sure how this kind of wood calling, by the way, but here around me it was a popular. It was a kind of national craftsman arts, I think. And the highlight, yeah, it's an orange color, means yellow, red, and a little bit of a white plus brown. I don't need to bring an extra brown because I'm just mixing a yellow and orange on top of the brown spot. And let's see what areas not touched yet. I think it's a table. Yeah, it's a table because our basket don't have any shadow yet under it. Have to add it because right now the basket, it's floating in the air. Nails, one, another one, and a third one. Let it dry, later we will add some pointy highlights. Shadow. Well, with this light direction, we gonna have same size of a shadow on the left side from the basket and on the right side from the basket, because actually it's gonna be a shadow from the leaves, not from the basket. When we have direct light from the top, size of object the same as object itself, so it's just laying straight under the basket. But of course we gonna have some shadows from leaves and apples. A little tiny rule about a shadow: it's darker and more, and have like a sharper edge closer to the object, and it's more light and blended to the zero when it's far from the object. So of course closer to the basket it's gonna be darker. You can use almost a black color there, but you have to blend it out. When you're going from the basket on the right, you have to blend it to the very soft color. And let's paint another leaf. By the way, from the previous tutorial, I have a question about a slice of the orange, and I promised to demonstrate how it's possible to move it, even if you already painted. And it's dry. I mean, not possible to remove it with a napkin. We're gonna do it with this leaf because, yeah, it's not a slice of orange, but it's a kind of similar situation. Basket already painted. It's looking like it's done almost. And we painting leaf that bigger than I need to. Let me paint bigger, and actually I recommend to you to watch it first and to make a decision if you want this leaf this big or you wanna paint it smaller directly. If you don't need to know how to fix this kind of issues, just skip it. Okay, let's create a shape, green shape first. And just imagine it's those orange slice. I will apply a nice amount of acrylic. Actually, same way you can use the same principle for any of leaves here, for apples, for any details. Everything possible to change. We painting with acrylic. It's a nice material that possible to cover easily. So imagine, okay, let me paint stem, and imagine from this step you decided leaf is way too big, you want to paint it smaller. What to do? We have to use color from around. For this situation it's a brown, and we're just covering the wrong part of the leaf. If you want to paint it smaller, you have just to cover from the top, for example. See? And I'm just restoring kind of similar colors that I already had there before. So for oranges, we painted before on a previous tutorial, mean you have to use some colors kind of close to the background, and there it's easy because those slice of orange, it's close to the right edge of a composition, so you're just adding and blending colors again. That's it. I hope it's clear enough, but if you will have more questions about it, just ask me. Okay, let's go to the last part. This is a part number 5 here, and we're gonna pay attention on a final detailization. We are done with the middle-sized details. We touched everything on a second go. We changed the sky a little bit, we fixed some parts of the background, apples already have some volume. It can look like it's not enough yet, but apple volume of apples kind of equal to the leaves right now, so if we will give more volumes to the apple, it will request more volume for and details for leaves as well. So this way we changing something, we changing all other details around, from general to specific, always like that. And here for apples, what is important for volume? It's highlights. If you will paint very sharp highlights, we're using just a white color right now. So if you will use very sharp looking spots, apples will look too glossy, like it was covered with even with some oil maybe. like with sunflower oil, you know, extremely smooth and glossy. I don't really like this effect, to be honest, so I like to blend it. Just blend a little bit, maybe with a finger, maybe with a brush, and I think sharp looking highlight spot, nice for the glass, for the metal sometimes, but not for fruits. About third apple here, this dark yellow one. If you will go with a white, right now it will look too sharp. That's for sure, because the color of the apple, it's like autumn yellow with a nice touch of orange. So for first we have to give it a lemon yellow spot. So you can check color, real color on my palette. I clean my palette a little bit right now. I have a small one because I'm trying to demonstrate all color mixing I do. But this way I have not enough space for color mixing, so time by time I'm just cleaning my palette. By the way, porcelain really easy to clean, even if your acrylic was here like for a month, for the year even. All you have to do is to put it in the water, and after 10 till 15 minutes possible to remove everything really clear. By the way, if you're looking for nice porcelain palette and can't find it, you can use just a plate, porcelain plate. Okay, so dark yellow, almost orange apple, you can apply white highlight only on top of the lemon yellow spot. This way, this shine, this highlight will look very soft and gentle. But same time, do not spread highlight spot too far, because this way it will blend with other yellow color completely and will turn into the light spot instead of a catchy highlight detail. It's important to make a difference between light, it's usually softer, bigger, and have lots of a color of a object itself, and a highlight. Highlight usually sharper, it's like more crispy, you know, more attentive, and usually not blended that well. Also on a highlight spot, sometimes, most of the times, we can see the real color of the object. You can see like apples, they are all different, but highlights, they have the same, they are white, but light spots, each apple have a different. Also, right now it's a time to check if you want to give better shadow, maybe deeper shadow for some apples, because at the moment when we painting them one by one on a medium detailing step, shadows can look different in the end. It can have some difference that looking not balanced. So if you want to, let me demonstrate. It's quite easy. It's for red apples, it's gonna be a dark red color, so it's a red plus brown, and the technique, it's a glazing, which is colors plus water. And this way acrylic will be really liquid, almost as a watercolor, really close to watercolor, with just spreading and blending. This consistency giving a very thin coat of the color, and this way you also can build up intensity of a shadow you need. For the yellow apple, here we have to use brown only, because this apple have no red stripes. Just add it and blend a bit. Please check the real color, how it's looking on palette, and you can see that I'm not using white at all. Only water and umber burnt. If you will put white in it, it will have a coverage and will give you a spots like a white cast on top of the apple. If you need a lighter color for the shadow, like you try a color and you find out shadow looking too deep, means you have to add just more water, and that's it. I'm blending a little bit with my finger. I like to blend with the fingers, but if you're not feeling comfortable with it, you can use a second brush. Why I'm not using a second brush? Because it's just a longer. But same time, you know, blending with a second brush, with a clear brush, looking more accurate. So each time you have to decide what is important for you. As for me, apple is quite big still and round, so it's a natural move for the fingers, and the size of the area good fits well size of the fingers. But probably I will not blend some small details, because possible to blend color on area I don't like. Let's add shadow inside here, and here as well. We have to divide those spots from where we gonna have a stem. And I will glaze some of yellow and orange on top. It's a glazing again. Please be really accurate about color mixings I do right now. No white. See all colors on my palette. It's looking as a watercolor. You can add, by the way, you can add at this step some green, for example, like a May green. You can turn the third apple with no red. You can turn to the red apple. Also, you can glaze like a side of it. Let me demonstrate. See, I have a little bit of a red on my brush, just glazing, and it's giving nice fresh pink touch. But of course it's a translucent coat, so that's why you're gonna see everything through this layer. I'm not gonna add a lot of red, because still I like the idea to keep this apple with no stripes and with no over intense red. Next one, it's a shadow from the second apple on a third one. And don't blend this shadow too well. It have to be kind of sharp, because these two apples laying near to each other. So this is a shadow that placed next to the object. It's have to look sharp enough. Let's paint better looking reflection. We have a kind of light green leaf next to the apple, so I think intense reflection here gonna look good. Same for this apple. We have an highlights on a basket. Also we have a very light green leaf on a table. An apple, of course, next to it, shine yellow apple. So this one need to have some reflections as well. Next, it's a stem, first one, and my brush, of course, already a small, number one. First one done. Second. I'm using a mix with red, because brown only looking cold, don't like. this color as a just clear umber, and maybe let's spread a little bit here, but in general I like how this broken twig looking highlights on top, similar that broken twig have, intense white highlights on top of the twig, and some shadows around here. And please remember to step back. We already really close to the final quality of the painting, so need to be careful, and I'm painting slower already, and also I'm stepping back and checking. Why I have to comment this moment? Because I have to cut those time when I'm stepping back and trying to analyze if painting looking good and balanced. Sometimes it can take 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, because I'm trying to switch from detail to detail, analyze is everything going well. Next, let's paint some folds, really tiny folds around this apple spore. It's a glazing again because we don't need intense colors, just a little bit. And next I'm mixing yellow plus white for the highlighting. Maybe even a little bit more white. Too dark still. Yeah, this is a nice try. At the moment I think apples already looking really good, and we have to level up leaves around it, because leaves looking less detailed right now. We changed apples, we added lots of details, and of course now leaves need the same attention. It's a highlighting, kind of similar step as we did for apples. Apples got some and leaves need to have some. Difference is for leaves we can use white because leaves can be glossy, can have same shine, so it's a light yellow color, a yellow plus white, because we need a coverage, a little bit of a coverage. And another thing is we have to blend. We have to blend highlights better because leaves need to look matte. If you're blending highlights, material gonna look matte. For example, velvet, I mean fabric. This kind of fabric have no highlight accents at all. If you will take a look on silk, silk have a really strong shine, same satin, it have a very nice shine. So if you want to give these leaves like a velvety effect, for example, if it's not fresh leaves can be glossy even, especially if it's wet a little bit. But this one, you can check this group of leaves on the left. From their shape, from their direction, you can feel like this apple branch was broken for some time already, so it's stayed with no water, and they looking like half dry already. So of course they need to look matte. Let's add a highlight here and some highlight on this edge and blend. Yeah, if you're not feeling comfortable with the finger blending, please use a second brush. This way you have to switch to another brush which is dry and clear and blend those highlight color that you're applying. But again, for me, question of time I'm spending for the painting is quite important. I'm painting for almost 2 hours already. I have to count also those time I'm spending for distance check, for the water changing, for the palette cleaning, and it's almost 2 hours already. Do not lose this nice shadow between leaves. We have some risk with the highlighting. Sometimes it can spread too far. That's true. And we have to add this brown looking stems for leaves. Let's start from the top. I mixed red, I mixed brown. And next one. Let's go. And continue it till the apple. It's going behind the apple. Let's go next one. It's gonna go, yeah, nice shape, curved, very soft. And another one. Really magic touch, because these details are thin, they are well visible, and they giving feeling of detailization. Let's take a deeper looking brown to give some shadows from the apple on the stems. For this leaf, we're not looking for the shadow, we don't need a dark color, so let's mix some of white in it. Same here. And another one. This one actually already have stems because we were on a broken twig. So I'm mostly checking if color is the same or it's quite similar to others. And that's it. I think that's it. And let's blend a little better this green leaf. Okay, we're done with the highlighting, we're done with the stems, same we did with apples before, and remember, with apples we also did the glazing for the shadows. For leaves we can do the same. I'm gonna demonstrate you some possible changes, but it's just up to you if you want to make it, if you want to bring it, or you already have those colors and those shadows you like. For the glazing, I can recommend to you to use just a green color. Who cares, green, really pretty by itself. Possible to mix a little bit of the yellow if you need a warm touch, but I really don't like to mix yellow because it's making green lighter, so be careful with it. But yeah, possible to mix plus blue plus brown, depends what you're looking. All we need to do is to spread color and blend it a bit. As soon as it is glazing, we're not adding white. If you need to make a shadow lighter, than you have means you need to add more water. Only with water you can control intensity of the shadow. If you feel like after first layer you still have not enough depth of the shadow, means you have to wait, you have to dry first glazing layer and do it again. Glazing layers translucent, so even if you're applying it on a leaf that already and you like it, you will keep all those details, stems, spots you created on the steps before. I like glazing so much. I just hope you will feel the same and you will free to use this incredible technique. Okay, let's check. I think that it's looking fine. And as soon as we added stems, look how detailed this leaf's looking, right? It's really close to the apples right now. What else I decide to add now? It's a warm touch. It's like a touch of a sunlight. We have a very intense warm light for the whole composition. I think this feeling came from the yellow clouds on the background, and I think some leaves will look pretty with yellow highlight accents. Before we did really soft highlights, we blended a little bit, but some edges possible to paint, like to decorate even with more sharp looking details. Be sure you're not ruining contrast for each leaf. I mean, for the top leaf on the right, possible to add this highlight touch only next to the brown twig. Why? Because if you will try to apply the same on any other edge, it's have a yellow clouds around, it's gonna be not visible, and same time you will lose a contrast between green leaf and light background. But it's looking pretty for some edges on leaves here on the left side, because here we have a dark spot, not that much light elements, light accents, and of course these details gonna look pretty, very catchy, very attentive. Don't put much, because if you will place it everywhere, your viewer will be unfocused. You need to make a center of a composition, and a center is still an apples. Red color is playing a main role still. About veins on leaves, it's a nice detail and I like it. Thing is, first of all, we have kind of small size of a canvas. Bigger canvas you take for painting, more details you will be able to create. For example, here we just can't paint a dot smaller than it is, but same dot gonna have a different visible scale on this canvas or canvas 4050, for example. You know what I mean, right? I mean, if we do the same splatters with a fun brush on the really big apples on a huge canvas, those splatters gonna be the same size than this one, but they will look different because of a different scale. So here, very, very tiny veins not possible to paint, but some of the main we still can do. For it, I recommend to use a dry brush consistency, and I just demonstrate to you on my hand. I demonstrate to you consistency. Sometimes it's not possible to see it on a palette first, and a second skin warm, or of course, because it's a human skin, and it's helping to dry better, to dry your acrylic faster. And also you can really feel with your skin the creamy or drier consistency of acrylic, and I think it's just more easy to catch those quality we need, because when we're painting with a brush and palette we actually can't feel the color, right? We can't feel those consistency. See, I'm trying to paint like on my skin, and I already can feel if it's runny, if it's giving some drops or not, or if it's spreading nicely. It's safe enough for skin. First of all, because we're not keeping acrylic for a long time on a skin, I'm removing it time by time. I'm cleaning my hands with wipes, with wet napkins or with a towel, and also acrylic color, it's a water-based. Compared to oil, for example, oil paints have some more aggressive to skin components, ingredients, and if you will paint with oil more, probably with time you will find that oil paints drying your skin, really drying. It's a matter also of some liquids we're using for the oil paints. I like acrylic, to be honest. I like it much more, because most of the time all we need to use here is just a water, right? And acrylic itself, it's a water-based. Next, we have to check background again, because veins, yeah, we already added a little bit of them and no need to add more. Let's check those white spots, white dots, pores, stripes, and glazing, helping to us to fix everything. Just add some water. Be sure it's not a really thick consistency, because we don't need visible brush strokes or something. Also, we no need a nice coverage, because in general this part of the background, it's already black. We're just fixing some grayish looking spots, that's it. And spread. I'm trying to be accurate close to the leaves, because they are done. And let's move to the gray. Same here. And we're going down. We're gonna give a second layer for the gray, for this gray gradient. Let's apply it. It's just black and white. And you can see it's helping to fix all spots we have on the background. What I like to do with the blending, I'm cleaning my brush. Let me demonstrate it again. So this is a color. I'm spreading it everywhere I need to. Next, I'm cleaning my brush with a paper. It's a toilet paper. It's just because it's cleaning so well. And I'm blending those acrylic spots I apply. This way you're gonna blend very well, with no spots, with no stripes, with nothing. But remember, after each blending you have to clean your brush again. I'm not gonna keep my napkin under the camera, other way I will just cover everything I'm painting, you know, and you will miss something. Apply, clean brush and blend. Again, apply, clean well and blend. Yep. And what I really like, it's the tiniest light behind the basket. It's making this shadow so catchy. And a lightest gray on a foreground. Clean your brush and blend. Apply some color, clean your brush and blend. Okay, let's put the same light behind a shadow. Really tiny stripe. Clean your brush and blend. I covered a little bit over cast shadow, so I'm gonna restore it really quick. And a tiny corner of a basket covered with gray as well. Yeah, shape is done. It's not the same. Blending on top of the previous layer, it's not the same as you blending colors on empty canvas. On empty canvas, usually blending giving some stripes, some visible spots after that brush left, you know. But when you're blending second or third layer on top, your gradient will look perfect. Let's fix shadow here as well, because I believe I covered a little bit of it with light gray, and also I will give some deep stripe under this detail of a basket. I think we're actually done with everything except the blue sky. You probably can see some imperfect spots and rough looking details on a gray clouds, or also on a gray to brown and to black area on top, so we're gonna fix it as well. Let me clean my brush really well, because I will use it for the blending again. So first I'm applying color, second I'm blending the spot with a helping brush. And important, I'm cleaning the helping brush with a napkin right after I did the first blend. So each time you're blending, your brush need to be clear and dry. It's a clear and dry, so that's why it's blending colors with no accidents. And blending, applying and blending, applying and blending. And now you can see why I like to blend with the fingers instead of the brushes, because it's just faster. You don't have to switch from the brush to clean the second brush all the time. Whew. Okay, let's check clouds, yellow clouds. It's so pretty here. I think we're missing still lifes with landscape elements. By the way, it's looking good not only for the still lives. You can Let me remind some portraits with a background. Mona Lisa, for example, it's one of the most famous painting, I believe. It's a portrait, and she have a very pretty and lightweight landscape behind her. So it's like two paintings in one. Of course, you can mix different genres of the paintings. You can mix portrait and a still life, for example. Just imagine it's a person that eating something, fruits, apples, and have like a basket apples near to. So of course it's just a question of classification. It's all up to you if you want to mix genres for more interesting result. And blend yellow. Want to put some more yellow here around this branch, because this way it's just looking more attentive. Blue color looking pretty enough, I think. I'm not sure if I need to add more details or not, but it's possible to do. Well, let's blend a little bit of a blue brush strokes. I will blend with the fingers. Really, it's taking so much time to use a second brush. And I'm blending colors not next to the apples or leaves, so it's safe enough. I want to mix like blue. Is it enough? Let me check. Yeah. What we need to correct, first of all, it's a shadow under the sleeve, I believe. Also the edge, the bottom edge of the basket with a black. Oh, highlights on the nails, how we could forget it. It's just a little bit of something from the palette. Not that important. Something pink, something white, and that's it. Tone is more important right now, not a color. Yeah, the table, the edge between the light and the shadow, between horizontal and vertical surfaces here. Actually, I even can recommend to use a ruler or a mole stick if you need to, if you're not sure about this straight line. This line needs to be straight enough, and it can be really sharp, so possible to paint it just with a hand, which is very nice because of the practice. In university, it was out of the rule to use a ruler. We could use a mole sticks time by time, but not all the time. For example, for drawing, it was forbidden. We could use it only for the painting. But we're not painting in a university, so if you're feeling comfortable with a ruler, just dry your painting, apply a ruler and make a straight line. That's okay. It's possible to use tape as well, but I don't like this way because this trick, because when you fixing a tape on top of the acrylic painting, sometimes it can remove a paint with it, especially if painting not dry well. Sometimes I'm using, that's true, but not for the straight lines like this one, just no needed. But please remember, I'm painting often, I'm painting even daily. Most of the time. It's not that easy to make a straight lines with no help of a ruler or mole stick. Well, let's create a little shadow here from the green leaf to the apple. It's just a glazing, a little bit of a glazing, and again you have to check how your painting looking right now, if it's need more touch, more changes or not. And remember, it's very important to stop in time, because more details you bring in, better you detailization just one of the area or object. It's mean you will need to do the same for all of them. Today I was trying to demonstrate how we're going in a circle. We doing a circle for each part. First we're making a general shapes and volumes. Next we're giving a medium size and important details like volumes, like some better shapes. And next we're going a circle again, touching one by one apples, leaves, backgrounds, basket, table. We have to do it again and again and again in a circle. This way possible to keep this painting very balanced in the end. I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. This painting is not easy, but hopefully right now you saw if we following it step by step, if we taking part by part and trying to keep this balance, it's really easy to get pretty looking apples in the end. My friends, I wish you all the best, and I'll catch you on my next videos. It was a PaintyKat. Bye bye.